Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really plunging into something quite extraordinary. It's this rare, really intense convergence of natural forces that all happened recently in one incredibly active place. We've gathered reports from various news outlets trying to piece together, how these dramatic events unfolded. Our mission, like always, is to unpack what happened and figure out what makes this specific confluence, so remarkable for us to explore. I mean, just picture this. A huge earthquake, magnitude 8.8, shaking the seabed. That then triggers tsunami alerts right across the Pacific Ocean. And then almost at the same time, a major volcano nearby just erupts. It sounds completely unreal, like a disaster movie script. But here's the question, the really surprising thing we'll be looking at in this deep dive. With all that immense power, almost unimaginable power, why were there apparently no major fatalities reported? That outcome, that's the thread we're really going to follow today.
It really is a fascinating case. You've got these immense natural forces colliding with, human resilience and a whole lot of preparedness. Yeah. The scale is just huge. There's no denying that. And the outcome, given the circumstances, it really offers some profound insights. Insights into what we've learned from things in the past and maybe what's still ahead.
Okay, so let's break down this incredible sequence, starting with the earthquake itself. So early hours, July 30th, 2025, a really powerful magnitude 8.8 quake strikes off Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula. We're talking nearly 120 kilometers east-southeast of Petropavlovsk-Kamchatsky. Pretty shallow, too, right? Around 19 kilometers deep.
Exactly. And that shallow depth is key. Shallow quakes, especially of this magnitude, they have the potential to be incredibly destructive. An 8.8 quake is considered great. It's among the most powerful you can get. They usually happen only, once a year somewhere on the globe. The energy release is enormous, like thousands of atomic bombs. It can cause severe damage over a huge area and, often triggers devastating tsunamis. And you have to remember where this happened. Right smack in the Pacific Ring of Fire. It's this horseshoe-shaped area known for intense seismic and volcanic activity. It's all about tectonic plates moving constantly. Around Kamchatka specifically, you've got the Pacific Plate diving, subducting under the Okhotsk Plate. It makes it one of the most geologically active places on Earth. Sort of a perfect setup for exactly these kinds of combined events.
And it definitely triggered a tsunami.
Yeah. That
massive quake immediately sent alerts flying across the Pacific. Warnings went out from Russia's Kuril Islands, Japan, Hawaii, Alaska, even all the way down to Chile. Coastal areas, as you'd expect, got evacuation orders pretty quickly.
Yeah, the speed and breadth of those alerts really show how effective our global monitoring systems have become. But what's really revealing here is how they perform this time. We're hearing about the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center using a new real-time seismic network. This apparently let them issue alerts within just 7 minutes of the quake. That's significantly fast, way faster than protocols even a decade ago. And that speed is it's paramount in these situations.
7 minutes, wow. That's really impressive. But, for an event this big, were there any hiccups, any unexpected challenges or near misses the systems faced? Or did it all just work remarkably well?
Well, from the reports we've seen, the system seemed to perform with really impressive precision. It's definitely a testament to continuous upgrades and international cooperation. The main challenge, as it always is, really, is translating that super fast warning into immediate, effective action on the ground, across all these different regions with varying infrastructure, different levels of public awareness. That's the tricky part.
And the waves certainly did arrive, like in Severokurilsk. Reports said waves hit up to 5 meters. That's a huge surge. It flooded ports, apparently swept boats ashore. There were some minor injuries, some damage, but incredibly, no fatalities reported there either. You mentioned the 5-meter waves. Even with evacuations, what did that look like on the ground? What were the immediate impacts that really showed the power?
Oh, even with people evacuated, a 5-meter wave is just an immense force. You can't underestimate it. We saw images, reports of fishing boats capsized, pushed inland, small infrastructure like piers, coastal roads, they were submerged, lots of debris washed around. The fact that the port itself was flooded, that vessels were swept ashore, it tells you the raw power was absolutely there. It really tested the physical defenses, the infrastructure. But crucially, the human element, the people, had mostly been moved out of harm's way.
That's such a critical point, the successful evacuations. And yet, despite that effort, the tsunami's reach was still incredibly wide, wasn't it? Hawaii saw waves up to 1.7 meters, Japan 1.3 meters, and even places really far away like Chile and French Polynesia got significant surges. Chile saw waves peak at 2.5 meters in some spots. But the story was largely the same everywhere. A powerful event, yes, but this extraordinary lack of mass casualties.
And this is where that preparation really comes into focus. The sources consistently point this out. Despite the quake's power, the tsunami's reach, the lack of major fatalities seems largely down to robust early warnings and widespread tsunami preparedness. And that preparedness, it wasn't just, okay, evacuate now. It involved years of public drills, having designated safe zones, even things like a tsunami-ready certification for coastal towns in some areas. This is a direct lesson learned, especially from tragedies like the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami, which sadly lacked those kinds of systems in many places that were hit hard.
Right. And just when you think that's enough, an 8.8 quake, a Pacific-wide tsunami, then boom. Within hours, the Klyuchevskoye volcano erupts. This is one of Eurasia's largest, most active volcanoes. Reports of molten lava on its western slope, fiery glows over the summit. Local authorities declared emergencies for nearby communities, and yet again, so far, no casualties reported from that either. It just adds another whole layer.
Well, it's likely not just pure coincidence. Along the Ring of Fire, these intense seismic shifts can sometimes affect magma chambers. They can depressurize them or create new pathways for magma to escape. Basically, the earthquake can act like a geological trigger for volcanoes that are either dormant or already active. And Klyuchevskoye, being one of the most active, was probably particularly susceptible. So, on top of the seismic warnings, authorities also had to deal with a huge ash plume from Klyuchevskoye, about 15 kilometers high. That meant flight advisories, warnings for people in nearby villages to, seal up their homes against ashfall, a completely different kind of hazard, needing a different kind of preparedness.
So the systems, the technology, performed incredibly well. But what about the people? You mentioned preparedness, but how did individuals in those immediate impact zones actually react? How do they turn warnings into action? What kind of, resilience did that take?
Now that's where the story gets really compelling, I think. We often focus on the tech, the warning systems, but the human response is just as vital, if not more so. There's this amazing anecdote coming out of Petropavlovsk-Kamchatsky that just perfectly illustrates this. Apparently, even while the ground was shaking from aftershocks, doctors just kept going with surgical operations. There was footage, apparently, showing medical staff kind of stabilizing themselves, stabilizing their work as the room rattled around them. That level of composure, in the middle of that chaos, it speaks volumes, doesn't it? About the training, the mindset in places that live with these kinds of risks. It's not just about the warning systems, it's also about the people operating them and, crucially, the people who calmly follow the instructions.
It really does make you stop and think. We so often brace for the absolute worst with events like these. And yet, this story, it offers such a different narrative. It's one of human ingenuity, preparedness, meeting nature's raw power. We've seen this combination. One of the strongest quakes in decades, tsunami waves crossing nations, a major volcano erupting, all highlighting the sheer potency of the Pacific Ring of Fire.
Absolutely. And I think the most critical takeaway, the headline from this whole sequence, has to be that successful outcome. Specifically, the lack of major fatalities reported despite the enormous power involved. And as we've discussed, that seems largely thanks to those robust early warning systems and that widespread tsunami preparedness. It really highlights the lessons learned, especially from disasters like the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami. Of course, authorities across the affected regions are still monitoring, for aftershocks, potential secondary hazards like landslides. Vigilance is still key.
Indeed. And that resilience, like those doctors in Petropavlovsk-Kamchatsky just carrying on, it's more than just survival, isn't it? It feels like a powerful example, maybe even a blueprint. It really leaves you wondering, given this display, what's the next frontier in disaster preparedness? What might this event inspire us to push towards next? Maybe even getting better at anticipating the synergy between these massive forces along the Ring of Fire. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into these truly extraordinary events. We hope it's given you a bit of a shortcut to being well informed and maybe spark some new questions for you about our very active planet. Keep exploring the world's complexities